So the animation we're going to be creating today is a walk cycle. This is an example of what it's going to look like. We're going to be starting off with a circle, or if you want to use a different shape for the body, you are welcome to. And then we're going to just focus on the legs of the walk cycle. So in your Schoology account, you should have this image, and this is just kind of a reference image to use for the walk cycle. So it's going to tell us what frames we need to put our poses on, and then how we need to arrange our legs. Okay, so what you can do is, of course, you want to start a new file. You can leave it at the default width and height, and make sure your frame rate is 24, and click create. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag my reference image in here, and I'm going to make it smaller and just kind of put it up here in the top, and we can always delete it later. And I'm going to name this my reference, and I'm going to go ahead and lock that. So now I'm going to start making a base for my figure to walk on and a background. So I'm going to go ahead and make a rectangle for the background. So I'm choosing just a blue color for the sky. One thing I want to do, and I'll kind of tell you this later. So if we look here at the document, we can see that our width of our stage is 1280. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to select my background, and I'm going to make my background double of what the stage is. So I'm going to change my width here to 2560. Okay, so what that does, if you zoom out, that gives you a whole nother space here, because what we're going to do at the end is we're going to make the background move. Okay, with a classic tween. That way, when it's looping, it looks like it's actually walking, when we're in reality, the dot is just walking in place using the walk cycle. Okay, so make sure you have that. I'm going to go ahead and name this my sky, and then I'm going to add a new layer in case I need to change anything. And I'm going to do green for the grass. These colors can be whatever you want. And I'm just going to start by just drawing a rectangle. And then I'm going to change, oh, I don't want a stroke. I'm going to, again, I'm going to look at my dimensions for this. So I'm going to change my 2560. I'm going to select my green and change that to also 2560. That way it should be the exact same size as my background. Okay, you will just lock those for now so you're not messing them up. Okay, so now for our little object, I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the circle for the shape of my body. Make sure to hold shift if you're using a circle, so that way it's a perfect circle. And you kind of just want this in the middle of your stage area. It doesn't have to be super perfect in the middle, but in the middle. I made that too big. Okay, this is too dark. There we go, I like that better. So I'm just going to name this dot. Okay, you can name it whatever. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make 2 different legs, and then like a little base shape for the foot or the shoe. So what I did is I used a darker color for the back leg and then a lighter color for the light leg. Now you're going to want to use 2 different colors for the legs just so you're not getting confused at which one we're changing. So in your reference image, you'll see that the back leg is shaded in, and then the front leg that's closest to us is not shaded in. So you can do 2 completely different colors, like you could have a green one and a yellow one, or you can do like I did, which was one shade and another shade. Okay, so I think I'm gonna stick with what I did before. So what you might want to do is go ahead and find those 2 colors and put them here in the fill and the stroke. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick my color for my first leg, and you might want to just kind of try it out, make sure it looks okay, like if you're using a blue, that it doesn't blend in with your background. So we're going to be using the line tool. Go ahead and find a good thickness for your line. I'm going to do a little bit more than 20. Again, sorry, make sure you have a new layer. We're going to do our front leg first. I think that's a good size. I did mine at 29, so just kind of experiment with that and figure out how thick you want your lines to be. And then, so the stroke is going to be the color of the line. So if this is going to be my lighter line, then I want the stroke color to be that color, okay? If the fill color is that color, then it's not going to work right, okay? And then I'm going to change my other color to a darker blue. And I just want to make sure that there's a difference there. And there is, okay? So I'm going to first use my lighter color as the stroke. And I'm going to draw that first leg, which goes, which kind of starts here and it goes down. So you're just following the pictures that are there. So right now, all we're drawing is the leg. We're not worrying about the foot yet. If you need to adjust it, remember you can always get the selection tool and move it. That's why it's good to put these on a new layer. That way you're not cutting into the other shapes, okay? So I'm gonna leave that there for now, and then I'm gonna make another new layer, and this is gonna be my back leg. Okay, and I'm gonna move that below the dot because my starting point is gonna be behind because it's on the other side, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I'm gonna select this layer and I'm gonna switch to my darker color. I'm gonna get my line tool, and this leg is going straight, kind of diagonally back. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And make sure you notice just how much space here. Let me zoom in. That's too much. That's way too much. How much space is kind of given here for the shoe. Again, you can always change it if you needed. If you need to change that top point, you can always hide the dot and kind of move that also a little bit if needed. Okay, so I'm good with that for now. Now we're going to make one more layer. And this is going to be like the shoes or the feet, whatever you want to call them. So what you're going to do is you're going to make 2 little oval shapes. Okay, so I'll show you the one that I did here. So kind of like that. You want to make one and then just duplicate it and change the color. So I'm going to come here to my oval shape. Now the only thing about this is you're going to have to get rid of the stroke for one. So I'm going to get rid of the stroke. I'm going to make my little oval shape for my shoe. And then you kind of just want to put it there and make sure that it looks okay, that you don't need to, you know, edit it anymore. So make sure you notice the foot is going up. So we need to make sure that our foot is rotated up. And I think I'm okay with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold down Alt and make a copy of that. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is get my eyedropper and I'm gonna eyedrop this color. So now I changed the stroke back to this color, but I want the fill to be that color. So now I just switched it. So now the fill is that color. If that's confusing to you, just let me know. Now I'm going to transform this one and rotate it this way. You just want to make sure that you don't distort the shape once you have it, okay? You want to keep it looking this same oval shape because the shoe is not going to ever change dimensions. And let's see. I'm going to hide this for a second. I'm going to move this down a little bit. Okay. So I think that's good for the first pose. Again, just kind of check and make sure it looks okay. So this is the part that is going to be pretty, how do I say it? You have to make sure that you insert the frames that I'm going to tell you the correct way. Because if you do it wrong, then it's going to kind of mess things up. Okay, so first we want to go. Well, we know that we're going to end at frame 25. And that frame 25, the pose for frame 25 is the same pose that's in frame 1. So the first thing we want to do is insert a keyframe all the way down on frame 25. Okay, so go ahead and insert that keyframe. Oh, I missed some. Okay, so you should have the same pose there on this frame and on this frame. Let me zoom into my frames here. Now, these two layers here, you don't really have to worry about anymore, and the reference. So you can just make sure that you have your shoes, front leg, dot, and back leg showing, because those are the ones that we're going to be inserting frames on. So if you go up here, you're going to notice that we're starting on frame 4 for our next pose change. So you're going to insert keyframes on some of these and insert blank keyframes on some of them. So on the shoes, you're going to insert a keyframe. On the dot, you're going to insert a keyframe. On the legs, that's where you're going to insert the blank keyframe, and then a blank keyframe on the back leg. So it should look like this, okay? It should be light gray, dark gray, light gray, dark gray, assuming that your layers are in this order. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn on our onion skin, and we can see here where our legs are in this first pose and where they need to be in the second one. So what you're going to do is, again, get your line tool, and remember our front leg here is this light one, and make sure you have your lighter color or whatever your front leg color is selected in the stroke panel. And then you're going to make this little movement here. So I'm going to start here. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Make sure you're on the front leg layer and you have that frame 4 selected. And you're going to start making that bend of the knee. Okay, and you'll notice that his foot goes down. So I'm going to go to my shoe layer, and I'm just going to select this light shoe, and I'm going to rotate it so that it's facing flat down. Okay, and I think I need to fix this a little bit. So as long as there's a bend there in the knee, like so, okay? And then we're going to go to our back leg, and then all you have to do is switch your color to the dark color. Get your line tool and make a bend like that. So it's coming in and it's going out. So I'm going to go ahead and just connect that there. There's not a whole lot of change in the foot, so I'm going to leave my shoe the way it is, but I am going to kind of adjust this split in the knee, okay? And you can always kind of see what that looks like. There. Okay, so now we're on frame 7. So again, shoes is keyframe, dot is keyframe, front leg, blank keyframe, back leg, blank keyframe. Okay, make sure it looks like this. We're going to start with the front leg again. I'm going to switch my stroke color to the lighter color, and it looks like the foot is going straight down and the shoe sitting flat. So I'm going to get my line, I'm going to turn on my onion skin, and I'm going to come down here and make a line straight down. Then I'll grab my shoe and move that over. Okay, so it looks pretty close. And now I'm going to go to my back leg layer, switch my stroke color to the darker color, grab my line, and then I'm going to make this pose here. So this line's going to come up and it's going to go back. Then I'm going to move this shoe. Now you want to be careful here when you're moving the shoe, okay? You don't want it to overlap this other shoe. So make sure it doesn't do that, because then you're going to mess it up. And if you need to, now I need to adjust this. I'm going to make it a little higher. So just adjust your leg accordingly. My dot's maybe not tall enough, but this should be fine. Okay. So now we're on frame 10. Again, shoes, keyframe, dot, keyframe, front leg, blank keyframe, back leg, blank keyframe. Okay, so we're on our front leg. Our front leg is going now back. So I'm going to turn on my onion skin, get my line tool, switch my color to the lighter one. So this is right now where my front leg is, so I'm going to now make that go back. Right about right here. Now what we don't want to do yet is we don't want to move our shoe yet, because then it's going to overlap the blue shoe, the darker blue shoe, and then it's going, you know how it does that thing where it merges them together and then you can't break them apart. So just wait on the shoe. We're going to go ahead and go to the back leg, get our darker color, make sure your line tool is selected, and this one's going to come up a little higher at the knee. And then down a little bit. So something like that. So what we're going to do now is now we can move our shoes. Let's move this shoe over here, and then we can place this one. So the shoe needs to be rotated downwards. And it is touching the ground, so now I want to go and edit just my line a little bit. Oh, too far over. Okay, that looks better. And now I'll grab my back shoe. And where am I at? Here. Okay, so it's just tilted down kind of the same way. And you can always play it too to kind of see how it is first looking. Okay, so now we're on frame 13. Shoes, keyframe, dot, keyframe, legs, blank keyframe. So So once you start getting the hang of this and figure out that what we're doing is we're just using the picture to create the legs, make sure you're not confused at which one is the front leg and which one is the back leg, because sometimes it can be confusing just looking at it. You might start making this the back leg when it's not, it's really the front leg. Okay, you don't have to watch the whole demo video if you're kind of understanding what we're doing here, but I will continue. I'm just going to continue on with every step. But after you do get all the poses in for the legs, we're going to go back and we're going to adjust the dot so that it is moving accordingly, where it's we're going to have a contact line, and we'll have some that are at contact, down, past a little bit, up higher, contact, down, same thing. So, but I'll have the chapters listed in the video so you can skip to that part if you're just going to go ahead and continue on with the poses without the video. Okay, so we're on our front leg on frame 13. The front leg is going all the way back. So I have my line tool. I need to switch my color to the lighter one. I'm going to turn on my onion skin. Okay, so it's already kind of back. I'm just going to move it. I'm not going to really adjust it that much because he's walking forward, so his leg's not going to move back per se. I don't know. Just kind of just whatever, wherever you want to put it. Okay, and then my back leg, change the color, line tool, 13 is going straight out. So maybe somewhere here, and go ahead and move your shoe and rotate that so that it is going up. Okay. So now we're on frame 16. Shoe, insert keyframe, dot keyframe, leg, blank keyframe, leg, blank keyframe. Okay, so we're on our front leg for 16. So it's starting to bend here. I'm going to turn on my onion skin, get my line tool, switch my color. So I'm going to bring this in a little and bring that out. And I'm just going to leave the shoe there because I feel like it's okay right there. Maybe bend that a little more. And actually, no, I'm going to rotate it up a little higher. Then the back leg, switch my color. Get my line tool. I'm on 16. Okay, so this one is bent now, but touching the ground. So I'm going to bring that out here and then bring it back. And move that in. And the shoe should be flat this time. And now we're moving on to 19. Insert your keyframe to the shoe and the dot, and then your blank keyframe to your legs. Oh, wrong one. Okay. Our front leg on 19 is coming a little bit forward and back. So I'm going to change my color, get my line tool. I'm going to come a little bit forward than the middle part because the back leg is going to be coming straight down, was what it looks like to me. And then move that line back. And go ahead and move my shoe there. And move this down a little. So I think that looks okay. I can always go back and change it. Now I'm going to get my back leg, my line tool, switch the color. And it looks looking like it's going again straight down. You know what? I already think this is too high. Right there. Okay. And let's see. Okay, I'm okay with that there. I feel like this needs to be a little higher. I want a little more of a space there. Okay, so one thing here, when we move this over, it's going to overlap the shoe. So here's what you need to do. Okay, go ahead and make a copy of this navy shoe, or whatever color it is. And we're going to put it here outside of everything. Okay, so it's right up here. And now go ahead and move this back, because then we're going to be able to just delete this one and not have to worry about it colliding with that. So right now this shoe is on top of that shoe. We don't want that. So move this one out of the way. Put this one here. You can use your arrow keys if you need to barely move it. Okay, and now move this one on top, and it should lay on top of it now. Okay, so you have something like this. Again, you can always adjust this leg here. Okay, so that's 19. Now we're on to 22. So, shoe keyframe, dot keyframe, legs, blank keyframe. Okay, so now we have our front leg coming forward and up. Get your line, change the color, make sure you're on the right layer. Okay, I have that somewhere. So now I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way, and then I'm going to come to this dot and go ahead and delete it, because remember, we still have this one up here. Okay, so now I'm on my back leg. I'm going to switch my color and get my line tool. So the back leg is going straight back like this. And now I can go grab my shoe from up here. And rotate it. Okay, and then you can move this shoe in. So this shoe is a little bit off the ground, so I need to make sure it's up. And then I can adjust this line. Okay. So we did all the poses. Now what we're going to do is go back. Let's go back to this front frame and go to View, Show Rulers. You're going to drag your guideline down, okay? And this is going to be our contact. It's not quite right. Just put it right there at the tip of your circle. Okay, so now we're going to go to frame 4. Just click on the dot layer. And now we're moving this down. Okay, and we're not moving it down a whole lot. We don't want it to be super dramatic. Just a little bit. Okay, maybe a little bit more. And then go ahead and make a line there so you know that's your down line, right? Don't be confused, because we're going to have to move the dot down again later, so we want to make sure we line it up kind of the same. Okay, so now go to frame 7. And this one here is right above the contact line. So, and you might want to hold shift when you're moving the circle just so it stays straight and it's not going to be to the left or to the right. That might be a little too much. Go ahead and make a guideline. This is not going to be for this one, but we just want it to be similar to the bottom one. So we want this, the past position one, to be right in between our contact line and our up line. Okay, so now we're going to frame 10 on the dot layer, and this one is going to be all the way up. So hold down shift, drag it up to that top line that we made. Okay, now we're on to frame 13. This one's back at the contact line, so we leave this one alone. Go to frame 16. This one is down again, so I'm going to hold shift and bring it down to that line. Now I'm on 19. This one is right past position again, so this one's going to be in between the contact line and the up line. Then on 22, I'm back up again. I'm going to hold down shift and bring that dot up. Okay, and then that should be it for that. So you can go ahead and test your movie first. Okay, so now he has a bounce, do his walk before he did not. So now we need to, what we're going to do next is we're going to draw something. Let's go ahead and get rid of our reference image. Delete that. I'm going to zoom out. You're going to add an object. So like in mine, I added a cloud. It can be a cloud, it could be a tree, it could be a flower, something. I'm going to add just another cloud like I did. So I used the rectangle tool first. I got my white and I got rid of my stroke. And you can make it anywhere because you can always move it as long as it's on a new layer. So I just made like a straight line here. Then I got my circle tool and just started adding circles. You want to do the ends first to make sure that you line those up. If you can't get it right, just kind of maybe start over. That one looks okay. I'm going to add one here, and then you just add more circles. Then if you have those lines, you can either fill them up with the rectangle, with the paint bucket, or you can just grab another rectangle and draw over that. Okay, so now I have my cloud. Okay, so now I need to move my cloud, and you want to move your cloud so that it's not in this first frame at all. And it still might not work right. You want it as close as you can get it, really, to your first frame. Not to your first frame, to the actual stage. And I'm going to first select both of these, and I'm going to move these over. I'm going to unlock them, move them over just a little bit, so I can make sure there's no white showing in the stage, okay? And then I'm going to create insert a keyframe here on the cloud layer. I'm going to create a classic tween. And you can see, like right now, it's not showing the rest of the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight these last 3 frames, make sure they're unlocked, zoom out. You want to hold down the shift key and drag your background all the way to here. Make sure there's no white space. Test your movie again, and now it should look like it is walking. I'm just not liking that cloud as much. I think I want to move the cloud again. So I'm going to move the cloud. I don't like it there. I'm going to try it here in the middle and see what that looks like. Insert keyframe. Classic tween. Hold shift. Okay, so I think that looks better. So your object should be kind of in the middle of your break there. So if at some point you kind of see a flash of light here, it might be because there's your stage, your stage is showing some white, so you can change that too, okay? So after that, this should be it. I'm gonna go ahead and not worry about the arms, okay? We're just focused on the legs. If you want to try to do the arms, you can do that. You could find the poses for the arms probably online. But that's it for that. Make sure you turn in a GIF of your walk cycle. Again, you go to File, Save As. File, Export, Export Animated GIF. Click Save. You can save it as your walk cycle. And again, always make sure that it's going to play. And then turn that in.